how many of you have watched this movie. It's called Ready Player One. Um, from what you see there, Earth appeared dead. There was almost no presence of green life. Yes, it seems cool with the machines and everything machine was even bringing pizza. But how really would our world look when there's no green life and there's no sun? So many people say that climate change is a hoax, it's a scam created by world leaders for economic gain, for what they plan to do in their countries. But that is what climate change would be if it was all about countless meetings and conferences. But that is not all about climate change, because as we can see from our world, we have floods, we have heat waves, we have earthquakes, we have volcanic eruptions compared to how they were before. So when I was a child, I was almost like everyone else. I didn't really know what was going on in my environment. I didn't really care. But as I grew, especially when I turned 18, sort of like a coming of age for me, I began to notice what was going on in my environment. I became very more aware of waste and how it affected my environment. And so, growing up as well, I loved plantains so much, I still do. And I would go to the market to get plantains, and the market woman would say, it's very expensive. And I would ask why, because just over a month ago, I was able to get them at a reasonable price. So why is it expensive now? And they would say, there is no rains, so they can't plant or harvest. And I got so annoyed because I love plantains, especially fried plantains. And then that happened with tomatoes as well, and then onions. And these are commodities. These are things that we used to cook and eat in our homes. And so it started getting me to think so much about a solution for years after that. And that led to the Green Life Farms for me, which I'll mention later on in this talk. A report by the African Center for Strategic Studies said that 149 million Africans currently face food insecurity in Africa. Yet, a UN report also stated that 37.9 million tons of food are being wasted in Nigeria every year. Yet we say there's no food. What exactly, why is this happening in our country and in our continent? I've realized from these studies and from all other studies that our problem with food insecurity in Nigeria or in Africa is not due to the inability to plant, but it's actually due to our inability to process and preserve our food. So, what is the Green Life Mindset? The Green Life Mindset, I've broken it down into 3 simple steps, which is sustainable production, sustainable consumption, and waste valorization, which means that we are reusing waste or reforming it back into our production system so that it has more value. And the Green Life Mindset means different things to people. And one notable example that we can have about someone who is doing something or using the Green Life Mindset actively is Michael Smith, the founder of the Green Powerhouse. The Green Powerhouse is located in Montana, and it is powered entirely by sunlight and waste. How do they do this? They do this by directing waste, especially food waste, and then burning it off in the absence of oxygen, a process called pyrolysis. And then that pyrolysis brings out, formulates oil and energy that powers the whole powerhouse off-grid with enough electricity to power at least 100 homes. This feat can only be accomplished by 3 acres of solar panels. Yet we are doing this from food waste. So what is the Green Life Farms? The solution that I thought about so much. The Green Life Farms is an agri-tech startup that aims to tackle food insecurity and waste management issues. How does it do this? It does this by gathering plantain peels and converting it into organic fertilizer to produce safe and organic food to combat food insecurity. It also traps toxic gases such as methane, and converts them into renewable energy. 1 ton of methane in our environment is 28 times more potent than carbon dioxide, which we are all screaming about in the environment. When you want to imagine what 1 ton of methane would look like, you can think of a polar bear, an adult male polar bear. Imagine 28 of this in our environment. That is how much effect methane has, more than CO2 in our environment. So, what is the green life mindset? I've broken it into 3 categories of people because I recognize that it means different things to different people. And essentially, it means that we are just protecting our environment in whatever sphere that you are in. So, to these 3 categories of people, individuals, companies or industries, and policymakers. So what is the green life mindset to individuals? Every one of us here are individuals. The green life mindset to you should be a non-selfish way of thinking. It is a way of thinking that I am leaving a sustainable future for the next generation. It's not throwing dirt in the streets. It's not throwing your waste in the streets. If you can help other people achieve their goals, that is, help the future generation keep our earth safe, you also derive happiness because health will also do you good. So what do you do when you see problems around you? Do you just say it doesn't concern me? Or do you tell your neighbor or your friend, rather, do you hit him on the side of his head when he throws the dirt in the streets? Yeah, I do that sometimes, okay. So do you do that? Or do you just pass by? Some people don't actually know that plastic or waste in our environment is dangerous to us. So educate them. So what is the green life mindset to companies and industries? Many industries are currently polluting our environment. That's why we have so many diseases in our environment or amongst us. Many of the diseases that exist now did not exist in the time of our forefathers. Why? Because now we have so many things that are being produced and destroying our systems. So what would the green life mindset look to companies and industries? It is sustainable production, producing with the right amount of materials, not excess materials, using the most refined of processes, and then reusing the waste that they generate back into their production system. A very key example of a company that is currently using the green life mindset is Unilever. And it is currently topping the charts on the zero waste list. Why? Because they've gone zero waste and they use their tea waste into textile dyes. They also transform their sludge into feed for earthworms. Unilever also admits that going zero waste has created numerous jobs in their company and has also saved them $225 million. Imagine if many other companies did this. They would be saving a lot of money and creating jobs for other people. So what is the green life mindset to policymakers? Everything rises and falls on policies. Policy is very integral in our system. Even if companies decide to go zero waste or do sustainable production and consumption models, if there are no binding or favorable policies, all would fail. So what would the policymakers do for us in terms of green life mindset? What they can do is what? Regulate and create standards. Set standards that are binding and that would indiscriminately regulate companies from throwing in their waste into the environment and not reusing it back into their systems. So, what will the green life mindset mean to you? It does feel like Earth is trying to punish us, doesn't it? I don't know about you, but in Lagos State, very recently, we had this huge heat wave. Fans were not working. In fact, when you are using the fans, it's like you are blowing back heat to yourself. Even the ACs. Rains are getting heavier. In Abuja, they are being flooded in. In Lagos, too, they are being flooded in. Earthquakes are going on sporadically all around the world. We can say, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, I don't care. It's not happening to me. Why would you wait until it happens to you? Why don't you start fixing something around you so that it doesn't affect the next generation? Do you want your children to have more of these effects than what we are having? So what are you going to do with the green life mindset? You can choose to apply it to the environment like me, or you can choose to do it in your world, whatever sphere of your world is. So I would like to leave you with this quote by John Scar that said, "The world or the future is not some place that we are going to. It is the one that we are creating." So which world are you going to create? Thank you.